A young and parentless girl adopts a dog from the local ground, completely unaware that it's supposedly a dangerous scientific experiment that's taken refuge on Earth and is now hiding from its creator and those who see it as a menace. Today, we'll recap the story of the 2002 movie Lilo and Stitch. A brilliant scientist named Jumba Jookiba, who resided on a distant planet, Jumba was an inventor with a keen interest in conducting unique experiments. However, his experimentation on genes contravened the Galactic Federation's laws against illegal genetic manipulation. Consequently, Jumba was arrested and brought to court, where his latest creation, Experiment 626, was presented as evidence against him. Experiment 626 was unlike any of Jumba's previous creations. It was a small, blue creature with a round head, two soft feelers protruding from the top, and impressive strength and intelligence. Almost like a supercomputer, it was also ferocious, nearly indestructible, and dangerous, which surprised Jumba. The Grand Council of the Galactic Federation sentenced Jumba to jail, and Experiment 626 was to be transported to an isolated prison asteroid for the rest of its life. However, fate had other plans. Experiment 626 managed to escape and boarded a spaceship, ultimately crash landing on the serene Hawaiian island of Kauai. Meanwhile, on the island, a young girl named Lilo was struggling to cope with the loss of her parents and living with her older sister Nanny, who was finding it hard to balance caring for her younger sibling with the demands of daily life. Lilo's idiosyncratic personality made it difficult for her to connect with other children her age, leaving her feeling lonely and isolated. A social worker named Cobra Bubbles closely monitored the family, concerned about Nanny's ability to provide proper care for Lilo. This prompted Nanny to find a companion for her sister. In a moment of inspiration, Nanny decides to let Lilo adopt a dog in the hope that it would bring her comfort and happiness. Meanwhile, the Galactic Federation offers Dr. Jookiba a deal. They will release him in exchange for the capture of Experiment 626, and they assign Earth expert Pleakley to be his guide. However, after crash landing on Earth, Experiment 626 finds himself in an unfamiliar world and is rudely awakened by a speeding truck, leaving him unconscious and eventually ending up in an animal shelter. Upon regaining consciousness, he quickly realizes his dire situation and attempts to escape, but his efforts are met with gunfire from the determined duo of Jumba and Pleakley. With no other options in sight, he reluctantly retreats back into the shelter to strategize his next move. Lilo visits the animal shelter in search of a dog to adopt, but fails to find one that catches her eye until she comes across the unusual dog, Experiment 626. Despite his abnormal appearance, Lilo is captivated by the creature's flawless replication of the postures and vocalizations of other canines and desires to adopt him. However, Nanny and the animal shelter lady hesitate to allow Lilo to take him home. Still, Lilo, determined to provide a home for this unconventional animal, convinces her sister to agree in the hope that it would make Lilo happy and distract her from their family's problems. Experiment 626 sought refuge from Dr. Jookiba and Pleakley by using Lilo as a shield. Lilo, who had welcomed Stitch into her home, grew fond of him and cherished their newfound friendship. As time passed, Lilo discovered that Stitch was not an ordinary pet, possessing otherworldly intelligence and extraordinary abilities that defied conventional norms. Despite his lovable demeanor, Stitch's reckless and unruly nature left behind a trail of destruction wherever he went, causing numerous predicaments for those around him. Dr. Jookiba and Pleakley continued to pursue Stitch relentlessly, ready to capture him at any moment. However, Lilo remained determined to keep Stitch safe, determined to teach him about love and family. One sunny afternoon, Lilo and Stitch wandered into the hotel where Nanny worked as a diligent waiter. As they made their way to a cozy table, they spotted the enigmatic Dr. Jookiba and the eccentric Pleakley, disguised as ordinary humans, hatching a cunning plan to ensnare Stitch. Their devious scheme involved luring the mischievous alien with his favorite dish, but little did they know that their trap would quickly unravel. As Stitch sensed danger, he launched a fierce attack on both of them with lightning-fast reflexes and razor-sharp claws, causing chaos in the process. Unfortunately, the hotel manager saw Stitch's involvement as the catalyst for Nanny's dismissal from her job. The next day, social worker Bubbles warned Nanny that if she doesn't find a new job soon, Lilo might be given to a foster family. However, Stitch's constant misbehavior makes it hard for Nanny to find and keep a job, putting both her and Lilo in danger. One sunny day, Nanny and her beloved David decided to embark on a beach adventure, accompanied by Lilo and Stitch, with the intention of indulging in a delightful day of revelry and thrills. As they joyously splashed and frolicked in the cool and refreshing water, the mischievous and crafty Snitch unwittingly became the target of Dr. Jukiba and the offbeat Blakely, who were determined to capture him. However, Stitch proved himself to be both shrewd and mighty, launching a powerful counter-offensive against his pursuers. Unfortunately, Stitch's aggressive behavior unintentionally caused him to pull Lilo underwater. Fortunately, both survived the ordeal. Nonetheless, Cobra Bubbles, a witness to the incident, approached Nanny and advised her that despite her good intentions, she must take responsibility and find a new job, or risk losing custody of Lilo. Overwhelmed with guilt for the trouble he had caused, Stitch sought solace in a book about a lost duck's quest to reunite with her family. As he read the story, he thought of his own family, and felt a profound sense of loneliness. Seeking comfort, he curled up and fell into a restless sleep. The following morning, the Grand Councilwoman fired Jumba and Pleakley and assigned Captain Gantu with the task of capturing Stitch. By chance, Jumba and Pleakley stumbled upon Stitch, who was engrossed in a book that promised to reveal the mysteries of his past and identity. However, Stitch's optimism was shattered when Jumba, in a moment of brutal honesty, revealed that he was a product of cold and calculated laboratory experimentation, created solely for the purpose of destruction, and had no family ties or discernible origins. They invited Stitch to join them on a journey to his homeland, but he chose to retreat to his abode. Jumba and Pleakley tried to stop him by firing a barrage of shots, but Stitch managed to escape. Meanwhile, David shared some news with Nanny, which motivated her to apply for a job quickly. However, chaos erupted when Stitch was chased and forced to flee back to Nanny's house. The once peaceful home turned into a battlefield with debris and destruction littering the surroundings. As a result, Lilo called Bubbles to save her, causing the entire household to plunge into pandemonium. The chaos escalated to a massive and defeating explosion, causing severe damage to the residents. When Nanny returned to her devastated home, she was shocked and dismayed by the ghastly destruction before her. Her astonishment grew when Bubbles arrived to collect Lilo. Despite his bravery in retrieving Lilo from the madness that engulfed them, and a tumultuous rift erupted between Nanny and Bubbles. Lilo fled into the woods in search of Stitch, and to her amazement, he revealed himself to be an extraterrestrial being rather than an ordinary household dog. This revelation ignited Lilo's curiosity and wonder. However, their joy was short-lived, as Captain Gantu suddenly appeared and captured both of them. Nanny, Lilo's older sister, witnessed the kidnapping, but could do nothing to stop it. In a desperate attempt to save her sister, she confronted Stitch before Jumba and Pleakley appeared and captured him, leaving Nanny feeling helpless and frustrated. Despite Nanny's pleas, the extraterrestrial beings refused to help until Stitch eventually convinced Jumba to assist in rescuing Lilo. Together with Nanny, Jumba, Pleakley, and Stitch, they embarked on a daring mission to rescue Lilo from the clutches of the ruthless Gantu. As they approached the enemy's spaceship, Gantu began shooting at them, causing chaos and confusion. Fearlessly, Stitch infiltrated the enemy's vessel and easily took down Gantu. With the enemy defeated, the heroic team successfully rescued Lilo from captivity. The Grand Councilwoman arrived on Earth, determined to capture Stitch. Gantu was fired for his failure to apprehend Stitch and endanger Lilo. Jumba was held responsible for the chaos caused by Stitch. As Stitch prepared to leave in the spaceship, he asked the Councilwoman to bid farewell to his new family. However, Lilo wasn't willing to let Stitch go without a fight. She proved that Stitch was her pet under a local law, and taking him away would constitute theft. The Councilwoman was moved by Stitch's transformation and newfound kindness. She granted him a life of exile on Earth under Lilo and Nanny's guardianship. The family was entrusted to the care of the Galactic Federation as they worked to rebuild their homes and lives. Jumba and Pleakley joined Lilo, Nanny, and Stitch's unique and endearing family. They lived happily ever after, surfing, dancing hula, and enjoying their special bond that transcended the boundaries of species and planets. And that's a wrap for our recap on the beloved Disney classic, Lilo and Stitch. From its heartwarming story of ohana to its memorable soundtrack, this film has captured the hearts of audiences for generations. But speaking of heartwarming stories, have you ever seen Disney's Planes? This high-flying adventure takes us on a journey through the skies as we follow the story of Dusty, a crop-dusting plane with big dreams of competing in a prestigious aerial race. So buckle up, click this video, and get ready for takeoff.